In this video, we're going to look at how to list out all the factors of a number. We're going to look at listing out the common factors of two numbers and identifying the highest common factor of two numbers. In the first example, we need to list all the factors of 12. Now, the factors of 12 are all the numbers that divide into 12 exactly without leaving a remainder. So we can start off with 1. Does 1 go into 12? Yes, it does. In fact, 1 is a factor of every single whole number. 1 goes into every single whole number without leaving a remainder. Now, generally, factors come in pairs, so we can think of 2 for the price of 1 effectively. We've got 1. How many times does 1 go into 12? It goes into 12 times. So 1 and 12 form a factor pair. We started off trying 1. Let's now try 2. Does 2 go into 12? Yes, it does. 2 goes into 12 6 times. So 2 and 6 form the next factor pair. We've tried 1, we've tried 2. Let's try 3. Does 3 go into 12? Yes, it does. Goes in 4 times. So 3 and 4 are another factor pair. We've tried 1, we've tried 2, we've tried 3. Let's think about trying 4. Does 4 go into 12? Yes, it does. 4 goes into 12 3 times. But I don't need to write out 4 and 3 as a factor pair because I've already got it. And in fact, if I carry on, I'm only going to find these same factor pairs again. I'm going to get 6 and 2 and 12 and 1. So this is a method we can use in general. Start off with 1 and write out your first factor pair. Then try 2 and 3 and so on. And keep going until you end up trying a number that you've already got in the right-hand side of your list. So in this case, once we got to 3 and we wanted to try 4 next, we know we can stop because we've already got 4 as one of our factors. So these are the factors of 12. In part B, we need to list all the factors of 18. Let's use the same method. 1 goes into every whole number, so we know that 1 is a factor. And 1 goes into 18 times. So there is our first factor pair. Let's try 2 next. Does 2 go into 18? Yes, it does. 2 goes into 18 9 times. So 2 and 9 form the next factor pair. After 2, let's try 3. 3 goes into 18 6 times. So 3 and 6 are a factor pair. After 3, we need to try 4. Does 4 go into 18? No, it doesn't. 4 goes into 16 and then it goes into 20, but it doesn't go into 18 exactly. So 4 is not a factor. Let's try 5. Does 5 go into 18? No, it doesn't. 5 goes into 15 and then it goes into 20, but it doesn't go into 18. So 5 isn't a factor. So far we've tried 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Next we want to try 6, but we've already got 6 in our list of factors in the right hand side. So at this point we know we can stop. These are the factors of 18. If we did carry on, all we would find would be 6 and 3, which we've got here. We would find that 7 doesn't go, 8 doesn't go, but 9 does go, and 9 would go in twice, but we've already got 9 and 2 over here. And similarly, we would find no other factors until we got all the way up to 18, and 18 would go into 18 once. So we would get 18 and 1 just flipped around in our list, and it would just be a repeat of factors we had already found. So stopping here, we see that 18 has got 6 factors. 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. In part C, we need to list the common factors of 12 and 18. Now I've listed up here the answers to the first 2 questions. We've got the factors of 12 and the factors of 18. The common factors then are numbers which are factors of 12 and 18 at the same time. So for example, the number 1 is a common factor of both. It goes into both 12 and 18. 2 is also a common factor because it's in both lists. It goes into 12 and it goes into 18. Likewise, we have 3 and 6. Those are the common factors of 12 and 18. They are the numbers that go into 12 and they go into 18. So the answer is 1, 2, 3 and 6. In part D, we need to find the highest common factor of 12 and 18. The highest common factor is simply the highest or biggest number in this list here. It's the biggest number that is a common factor of both. So it's the biggest number that's a factor of 12 and a factor of 18, and that is 6. A very common abbreviation you will come across is HCF. It is the highest common factor. Sometimes students get mixed up and they start thinking about the lowest common factor. The lowest common factor of two whole numbers is never going to be interesting. The lowest common factor will always be 1 because 1 goes into every single whole number. So you won't get asked about lowest common factors in general. Highest common factors are more interesting because you actually have to do some working out to come up with your answer. In part E of the question, we need to list all of the factors of 7. Now we're going to do what we did earlier on in the video. We're just going to start from 1. Does 1 go into 7? Yes, it does. How many times? 7 times. So there is the first factor pair. Next we would try 2. Does 2 go into 7? No, it doesn't. Let's try 3. 3 doesn't go into 7 either, so let's try 4. 4 doesn't go into 7, so let's try 5. 5 doesn't go into 7, so let's try 6. 6 doesn't go into 7, so let's try 7. We've already got 7 in the list, so that's where we stop. And in fact, we've ended up trying every single number all the way up to 7. So the only factors of 7 are 1 and 7. That's the answer to this question. You're going to see in lesson N4c that 7 is a prime number. That means it only has 2 factors. Now, the method I've shown you in this particular case needed you to try every single number all the way up to 7 to make sure you'd got the full list of factors. There is actually a more efficient way of going about this kind of question, and it involves only going up to the square root of the number you're trying to find the factors of. Some of you might like to think about that for yourselves and see why going just up to the square root is enough when you're looking for the first number in your factor pair. Finally, in part F, we need to find the highest common factor of 7 and 12. So we're looking for the biggest number that happens to be a factor of 7 and a factor of 12. If I list out the factors of 12 again, from what we did earlier, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 12. What we're now looking for is the biggest number in both lists, and hopefully you can see that the answer is 1. In fact, that is the only number in both lists, which means it's the only common factor of 7 and 12, and therefore it's automatically the highest. So the answer is 1.